Hello and welcome to Scribes and Songsters. I'm Veronique Mandel. I'm delighted to start a fresh season of Scribes and Songsters, our sixth, in fact, with guests who are no strangers to this show. In fact, it was just a year ago when we introduced them to you, but since then, they've managed to produce an album of their own songs, release a music video, tour locally and in the United States, and attract followers from around the world. And they're garnering accolades, not the least of which is the Fan Choice Award for CBC Music's Searchlight competition. So, without further ado, joining us again here on Scribes and Songsters, Addison Bonadonna, Alex Bonadonna, Timothy Hole, Louis Diab, and Luca Angelini. Welcome back to Scribes and Songsters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How's everyone?
Good.
Doing good.
Tired?
Yes.
So, there has been so much happening to you since we last had you here in the studio. What are some of the big highlights for each of you? Why don't you start, Alex?
Well, I think in the summer, we had such an amazing time touring and being in the States for the first time. So I think that was just super fun. But then, before that, we were able to make the album Groundwork, and that was a super fun experience. But I think everyone has their sort of highlights of such an amazing last year.
Yeah. Throughout the summer, we played gigs all over the country. Ontario, as well as some in Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio. One of the highlights for me is performing a big, a big music venue called the Barnyard. It's in Sharpsburg, Kentucky. Seats about 8,000 people. 2,000 on in general seating, and then another 6 or 7 on the lawn, and it was a fantastic experience.
I can imagine. Wow.
For me, a big highlight of this year was obviously the album coming out. It was it was a lot of fun making the album and having then finally when it was released, it was a huge celebration for us. That was a real big turning point for us.
I can agree with Luca. I think the fact that we started last summer's tour without an album, and when we were in the studio last time, we did not have an album released. But now to be back with an album, we are now our own producing band. So it's great.
Yeah, and when we recorded our album Groundwork, I went to Dave Sarin's recording studio, and I recorded the drums there. Yeah, and then Kentucky, when we went there and played the Barnyard. And yeah, pretty much playing during the summer.
Wow. It must have gotten very busy.
Yeah, very busy. We played about 60 shows this summer and about 10 more to finish.
Wow. Makes you go, phew. Now, Addie, you're 12 and you're in grade
7.
And Alex, you're 15 in grade
10.
Louis is 15.
Yeah, and I'm in grade 11.
And Luca.
16 and in grade 11.
And Timothy, you're 19.
Yes, and I'm at the Mediaplex for St. Clair College.
You are, and we're delighted to have you at the Mediaplex.
Thank you.
So, you've had a very busy schedule, and I'm sure you're not going to stop performing, but how are you going to sort of fit all this in?
Well, like any other band, the sort of mix of they do their tour and then they write the album, they do their music videos. That's kind of exactly what we did. But yeah, it's just, even with school, but that's fine because we play on the weekends. So we've been able to fit everything really well.
And so do you make sure that you get your studies, that you stay really up to date?
Yeah, I think the big advantage of being in a band where we're not going all in is that you don't have to, forget about school and just focus on band, I mean, it's very simple for me for all of us to keep our grades at a very high level while still improving as a musician because, we know how to time manage better than, others who may not think they have time for school, but that's, I think, just in here.
So do you all look at school as something really important?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
I think we're all
very.
valuing our education, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's really good to have that education to fall back on, even if you become wildly successful, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Now, you're also, I watched your videos, and you're all really fine musicians, but of course you're all classically trained from the Canadian Conservatory of Music. All right, so tell us what you play and how long you practice. Addie?
Well, we all practice usually once a week, but if we play like a bunch during the weekend, we usually don't have to practice during the week.
Mhm.
But separately, we practice like with people from the conservatory, and so I do drums, and then like everyone else goes and does their own thing.
And then I play guitar, and then in the Conservatory of Music, I'm taught by Pete Palazzolo.
Good guy. Talented guy.
Very.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I play keyboards in the band, but I'm classically trained for piano with Pete. I've been doing it for a decent amount of time, so I'm getting through that 7th grade. Alex also does piano at the conservatory as well, and we both also take guitar lessons, but he's obviously far ahead.
I play bass guitar in the band, and if we all practice with Pete once a week. But even at home in whatever studio we all have at home, we always, walking by, going to put a load of laundry, and you just pick up the whatever instrument and start playing something. 50 minutes later, we always we keep regularly practicing at home all the time.
Although the mini grand's quite heavy to carry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no mini grand for you.
Walking around a house with a guitar is much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get videos on Snapchat of him doing that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm Timothy and I sing. Yeah, and I also play guitar.
Do you all sing? I hear you. When I saw your videos, I noticed that every once in a while I see you all singing.
Well, on the album, everyone's singing harmonies, and
Yeah.
Tim, is the lead, and
Yeah.
then, I have my fair share of like the 5 of 45 I sing, but
Yeah.
Tim is our lead singer.
So now, you are now performing for audiences. Do you find that performing, sort of what impact does it have on your performance when you've got people in front of you?
It's always more entertaining when there's an active crowd, because the crowd helps you amp up, it helps you show energy, and when the crowd isn't there and you're just in your basement practicing, you're kind of like, yeah, I've done this a billion times, but having that go on and like having seen people react to the music always helps.
And does that help in the development of your performance?
Yeah, there's times where, things in between, like to get there and to set everything up, it takes so much work. But then once you're playing and there's a bunch of people and you're just enjoying it so much, there's nothing better.
I can agree with him.
So you love it. You love doing it.
100%,
Yeah.
yeah, all of us.
Okay, so now it's 2022, and we're talking about these live events that you can now perform at after a 2-year hiatus and having to do everything virtual or social distance. And let's take a look at what you told us when you were here last time. Have a listen.
Or how many times do we play?
I think we played
56 times.
Yeah, 56 times. We're wrapping it up. We're starting to focus more on writing, but we played 56 times over the summer, and 3 times a weekend, sometimes 4, sometimes 2, somewhere in that area. But we've been consistently busy since the beginning of the summer.
We have had offers from as far as Florida to play. There have been a lot of places in the States that want us. I've heard Europe have wanted us, so
Wow.
it's the real deal. It's the real deal.
So you guys did 56 events. And remind me, how much have you done since then?
Well, around 60 this year.
So do you expect that will only get sort of ramped up as you get busier?
I think so. I mean, last year, obviously, COVID was a huge factor into the amount of shows we had. But I mean, February, we may be playing as far as the GTA. I mean, there are some to be confirmed shows where, I'd call it the slow period where, all bands don't really play that much in the winter, and I don't think we've ever played in the winter, like deep in that far. But we may just play in February this year.
So it must have been pretty exhilarating to be able to go to the United States. And you said you were in Michigan, Ohio, and Kentucky. What were your audiences like?
Well, none of them has ever seen us perform before.
Yeah.
Like in Windsor, there's some people that we already know that's always there. But, when you're playing to every single face, you have no idea who they are. It's really awesome. And they don't know who you are. And they're like, what am I watching right now? They went So the first one at the Virginia Theater in Ohio, that was like our first USA gig. And it was just such an amazing experience going there.
And sort of what kind of reception did you get from the audience?
It's always great because, there's new people.
Yeah.
And they're seeing us pretty much for the first time or like social media. But yeah, it's like usually pretty cool. Yeah.
Did you feel that they really enjoyed it?
I think so. Yeah. The biggest thing was when we were in Kentucky for me, at the Barnyard event that Tim mentioned earlier. The owners and the backstage crew of the venue they were so nice, and they, like, the hospitality was amazing, and they were so happy to have us there. And it just, driving into 7 hours over to Kentucky, not knowing what's going to happen, that really did help us, kind of calm the nerves, and so we're very grateful for all of our venue hosts that have had us.
Do you find any difference in the audience in Canada or in the US?
I will say there are a lot of songs that we play that are tailored towards the viewers of the United States. I do know that the Canadian rock bands like Loverboy or artists like Bryan Adams do hit home better.
Yeah.
But when you've got bands like Styx that are bigger, more predominant, like down south, you're going to get a little bit more of a lively crowd for those sort of bands.
So speaking of reaction to your music, I've read a lot of what people have been writing online. And here's one quote from one of your YouTube viewers. I bet you've read this. Stunning. You just get better. Admiring your music all the way from New Zealand. So what does it feel like when people on the other side of the world?
Yeah, on Facebook, there's so many comments, and it's so awesome to see. Watching from, Ottawa, watching from, like Paris, like, Germany, Australia, stuff like that. And that, one is super cool to see. And that's the power of, social media in that sort of way where anyone could watch your video. And I always love reading those sort of messages like that.
The other good thing I like is that although we do get a lot of good comments, of course, when you have social media, everyone's going to get the odd couple bad comments. But
sure.
The thing about us is we don't let it get to us. We're like, who cares? We're not going to have our day ruined because of one comment. So we're very good in that area too.
You sound as though you're really developing on a solid foundation. So now the last time we talked, you had written an original single, Invisible Enemy. Well, since then, the City of Windsor's Arts, Culture and Heritage Fund provided funding for you to do an album. And now, as I say again, it's 2022, and here you are. Your album, Groundwork, actually has 7 original songs. We're going to listen to one of them called Where She Was. And when we come back, your manager, Jean-Paul, is going to join us to talk about the production of this album and where he thinks your futures might go. So let's have a listen. Here it is, Where She Was. Okay, guys, that was fabulous. And I have to tell you, I listened to it at least, I bet 3 times online. And then just hearing it again, it really makes you move, doesn't it? Did you enjoy that one? Do you have a favorite song?
Well, for me, that's a great song, but my the third track on the album is my favorite. It's called Stratospheric.
They're all equal for me. I can't choose one or the other.
Eddie?
I would say Stratospheric as well.
Yeah.
I'd have to say Stratospheric as well.
For me, like Tim said, I can't really pick a favorite. They all hit me in different places and for different reasons. But I think right now I'm probably more into the Water in Your Hands track 2 on the album.
Wow. So welcome, Jean-Paul.
Thank you.
Congratulations, first of all, on this incredible group of young people you have.
I appreciate it, but it's truly them. I'm constantly in awe of the situations, frankly, that we've put them in terms of very big shows and early in the performance, I'll look up and just say, do they have any comprehension of the weight that is on them at this moment? And then when they pull it off, it's just an incredible feeling.
Wow.
So I'm just super proud, but truly they are the work behind it.
Now, congratulations on winning the CBC Fan Fave at the Searchlight.
Again, truly, they're the ones that they wrote that song. I mean, I am just fortunate to have the technical ability that we're able to do it. Really, it was a homegrown project. I mean, we certainly recorded it all in our basement, minus the drums, where Addie went to a studio. But it was an incredible process. I mean, I used to say to Alex all the time, when you get involved in music, and you're going to have these moments where every hair on the back of your neck is standing up. And I can't even count them on one hand, the amount that we had in the process as someone would present an idea. And then it would get built upon by, someone else's input. And all of a sudden, we talked about it on the way here today, it changed everything. I mean, as much as they certainly love performing, classic rock songs that everyone knows and loves, they will, from, the point of groundwork forward, be recording artists. And we're super proud of that. And the best part was enjoyed the process.
One of the prizes from Searchlight was a 1-hour meeting with a mentor from CMI. Now, I understand CMI is a national not-for-profit organization that actually specializes in professional development and mentorship. What was that like?
Actually, with our busy summer schedule, we haven't got around to that yet. However, there are 2 elements that we did take advantage of. One being the $1,000 gift certificate from Long McQuaid. Was these kids have already pointed out their love for playing instruments is followed second by their love for acquiring instruments.
Yeah.
So that very quickly went to good use. And the latter was a service called Play MPE, which essentially sent that song out to every radio station within certain categories across North America. So just a huge thing that we did time the release of Where She Was, the first single, to line up with CBC Searchlight, but it was really to give it some momentum. To win the fan vote, when we refreshed the page at 3:00 on that day, and to see our picture with the stamp, I mean, it was just,
that must have been a hair standing on end moment.
Yeah, you've got it. I mean, I shed a lot of tears with this band, but they're all tears of joy. And it was just like, how is this happening? And it was incredible.
So speaking of competitions, can you see yourself going on America's Got Talent or other competitions?
I mean, it's always part of the potential sort of next steps. I think sometimes the busyness of our performing schedule, maybe gets in the way of some of those other opportunities, but we're always, keeping our ear to the ground for those opportunities. So we wouldn't say no if they called and said, would you like to come perform on our stage? Let's put it that way.
So now, are you still writing music?
Well, naturally, on all of the instruments, sometimes you're just, jamming around and then you think of something. So, all of us, you just quickly record it on your phone and then come back to it the next day or keep going and stuff like that. So, yeah, for me, I have over 200 little snippet videos of, songs on my phone, which, 5 of those were the stuff from Groundwork. But it was just, it's just, there's so much stuff that some turn into songs and some don't.
But we can't wait for it this time. I mean, Luca and Lewis would admittedly say that it was, these kids had been rolling with Invisible Enemy. It was sort of their first go round, but at the same time, had all the ideas we could have possibly asked for from them as they were putting these songs together. Now they've got snippets that they can't wait to bring forward, and to just start that process again. Obviously, a little bit easier when our performing schedule slows down just a little bit. But I'm so excited by what they produced, and now can't wait to see when they do it again with one round of it under their belt. And I know that they've mentioned that they've got material, and just when it fuses, I mean, the celebration that we would have in the midst of doing it. It was an incredible thing.
So we're almost out of time, but I have two quick questions. Do you ever see a time when you're going to give up your day job and just manage full time?
I think all the right things will need to happen, but I'm not shy of telling anyone that that's my ultimate goal.
Excellent. So very quickly, what are your goals for your futures?
Well, I think my goal is just to, be a rock star. That's what anyone wants to be when they play music, but it's that's what I want to do.
And are you going to have, when you're sort of thinking about education, is there anything else that you want to do besides Rockstar?
Yeah, because I've thought of, anything. I would want to do something else in music, but if that doesn't work, something like an engineer or, something like that.
Addie?
We're hoping to, be like rock stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. And pretty much what Alex said. And for another job, I mean, it depends if I'm really busy or I don't know.
For me, obviously, number one is to have a career off of this. But obviously, I'm keeping in mind engineering, like Alex said, and maybe get my MBA and compete with Long McQuaid, open up my own music chain or something.
Yeah, good idea. Alex will be number one customer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex.
Obviously music is number one, but sports journalism has always been another go-to for me.
Well, I'll make sure you get lots of practice in that.
Yes.
For me, I'll say it a fifth time, music is the number one choice, but with plan B for me is working as a millwright in precision metal cutting. So stuff like that.
Wow.
Almost like an engineer, but So we like we said, we all have plan Bs and we're all ready for anything.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now I have to tell you, our sound producer, Gary, was telling me that if you go on Scribes and Songsters website, you'll find that you have over 1,100 hits, which is the most of anybody who's been on our show.
Fantastic.
So
Excellent.
Yeah,
we're just so delighted for you, and we knew you when. We're all looking forward to when you get that rock star status, because you're certainly on your way. Thank you all so much, every one of you. And thank you. Congratulations,
Thank you.
JP.
Thank you
and
very much.
congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
see
you.
you again when you get your next album.
That's it. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, unfortunately, that's all for this episode of Scribes and Songsters. Many thanks to our terrific guests, members of Leave Those Kids Alone, and to their manager, Jean-Paul Bonadonna. Thanks to our Scribes and Songsters team, producer Liz Pettipies-Phillips, technical producer and editor Gary Glass, social media manager Michelle Fortier, and consultant Brian Sweet. Grateful thanks to Tony Toldo and the Toldo Foundation, and to Neil and Tina Queering for their support. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you soon right back here on Scribes and Songsters. I'm Veronique Mandel. Bye for now.